the speech from the Bapak Sugito Esos MH, served as Chair of Sumar DPE Indonesia. Give a big round of applause to Bapak Sugito Esos MH, who served as Chair of Sumar DPE Indonesia.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Mr. Oyen Duan Tuan, Chair of Senior Official Meeting of Rural Development and Poverty Eradication, Sumar DP, represented by Deputy Head of Global Integration and Investment Division, Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Ms. Din Thi Tan Huyen, Ms. Juliana Bahar, Director of Social and Culture ASEAN Cooperation, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Republic of Indonesia, Head of Bureau Community Development Special Province of Yogyakarta, Head of Village Community Development Agency East Java Province, Head of Village Community Development Agency West Nusa Tenggara Province, Sumar DP Focal Point, ASEAN Village Network Delegate, related ministry and institution, all esteemed colleagues and attendees of this meeting, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to welcome you all to the first ASEAN Village Network meeting, where we come together to discuss a transformative initiative that will great promise the advancement for rural development and poverty eradication in our region. In our ASEAN region, villages are the bedrock of our societies in economic growth, preserving our rich cultural heritage, and playing a pivotal role in shaping our collective identity. Yet, they often face numerous obstacles, including limited access to quality infrastructure, essential services, village community resources, and economic opportunities. The establishment of the ASEAN Village Network marked a milestone in our collective commitment to uplift these communities and foster inclusive growth. By pooling our resources, expertise, and knowledge, we have the opportunity to empower rural areas and create an environment that promotes sustainable development and well-being for all. Through our collective effort, we will achieve two significant milestones, namely the establishment of the ASEAN Village Network Framework and the formulation of the Village Specific Action Plan for Rural Development 2023-2025. The ASEAN Village Network Framework serves as a guiding document that outlines the vision, objective, and strategic direction of this network. It provides a comprehensive roadmap for member states to collaborate in advancing rural development and poverty eradication within the ASEAN region. This framework reflects the collective commitment of ASEAN member states to address the unique challenges faced by rural communities and foster the sustainable development. The ASEAN Village Network Framework will be formally noted in the 43rd ASEAN Summit, which signifies the endorsement and recognition of member states regarding its significance and relevance. In addition to the framework, the village-specific Action 2023-2025 are a set of concrete, time-bound initiatives that member states commit to implementing at their local level. The village-specific actions serve as practical steps toward achieving the objective outlined in the ASEAN Village Network Framework. The ASEAN Village Network is a proof to our shared commitment to leaving no one behind, ensuring that the benefit of development reach the farthest corner of our region. I am confident that our discussion today will be a stepping stone toward a brighter future for our villages, where poverty is replaced with opportunity and rural communities flourish. By developing the ASEAN Village Network, we will nurture villages toward resilient, prosperous, and cohesive communities in the ASEAN region. Thank you, and let us embark on this inspiring journey together. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for your remarks, Mr. Sugito. And we would like you to remain on the stage. We expect you to remain on the stage, to dear Mr. Sugito, because we're about to start the photo sessions. And for the photo session itself, I would like to invite Asian member states delegates, including village representative of AVN, and also all ministries and other related organizations. To all Asian member state delegates, and also village representative of AVN, and also all ministry and other related organizations. Please. Okay, ready? I will count to 3, 2, 1. On my marks. 3, 2, 1. So this is the photo session. Before we start the next session, the discussion. For the next session of this first Asian Village Network or AVN meeting, we will have a discussion for this final series of event of this senior official meeting on rural development and poverty eradication, Samar TPE Indonesia 2023. But before that, let me invite two of the great people for this first ASEAN Village Network meeting to lead the discussion. Once again, for this discussion, I would like to invite Mrs. Juliana Bahar and also Christine Revina to please move forward. We invite you to the stage to lead the discussion on the first ASEAN Village Network meeting. Due to all respect, I would like to invite Ms. Juliana Bahar and also Ms. Christine Revina to lead our first ASEAN Village Network or AVN meeting today.
A very good afternoon for everyone here. Again, I would like to welcome to the first ASEAN Villages Network meeting. For this session, I am honored to be the moderator and facilitate the discussions. And this session intended to do a stock-taking inputs for the draft of ASEAN Villages Network Framework. For that, since it's already very late, I'm sure everyone is also very tired, I would directly invite Mrs. Juliana Bahar to present and run through the draft of the framework already formulated by Samar TPE Indonesia to basically to introduce the draft framework. Please, Ibu.
Check sound. Thank you so very much, Christine. And to be honest, I don't know how to top the previous session, because the previous session was where all the money is. Because we had a fruitful discussion with the financial representatives from financial institutions, and that's where all the money is. So how are we going to top that, this session? It's going to be very difficult and challenging for me. But rest assured, and as highlighted by Director General Sugito on the important role of the villages in contributing to the region's economy, and also its relevance to Indonesia's theme for ASEAN chairmanship this year, ASEAN Matters, Epicentrum of Growth. I think what we're going to do throughout this session has a significant importance, because this session, the previous session is where all the money is, but this session is where all the actions are. So what we're going to do throughout this session matter. Just like the ASEAN Indonesia ASEAN chairmanship this year, the theme ASEAN Matters. And ASEAN only matters when it can relate, when it can project the interest of every single individual and even the tiniest political or administrative entities in the region. And that's why it is very important for us to project what we're going to do in concrete terms when it comes to the empowering rural areas in our region. That's why That's what makes ASEAN matters. And also the second part of the theme, the theme of Indonesia's chairmanship in ASEAN, to create, to sustain, to promote, to strengthen our region as an epicentrum of growth. It is only relevant if we also enable all the villages in the region to be able to contribute to realize this vision of sustaining our region as an epicentrum of growth. So that's why if this session cannot or unable to come up with concrete action on how are we gonna project our villages to be able to contribute meaningfully to realize ASEAN as an epicentrum of growth, I think it's time for me to leave you all here and go back to Jakarta. It's just a joke, of course, but maybe all of us are very tired to even afford a laughter, but it's okay. So distinguished SOM RDPE delegates, distinguished members of the ASEAN Villages Network, ladies and gentlemen, and of course our gracious host, Director General Sugito, I would like to again welcome you to the first meeting of the ASEAN Villages Network. And on behalf of the SOM RDPE Indonesia, I will present the draft AVN framework at this session. And I believe that the draft has been circulated for your perusal last week, last Friday. So I hope that you have ample time to go through it, and maybe we can have more meaningful discussion after the presentation of the draft framework. My name is Juliana Bahar, but I usually go by Anna. So you can just call me Anna. Next slide. This is the highlight of what my presentations will be. Don't worry, I only have 100 slides, so bear with me. But if at the 10th slide you feel like, okay, cut it off, just raise your hand and I will stop immediately, I promise. Next slide, please. This slide. Yeah, sorry, go back to the previous slide, sorry. Right, so at the 42nd ASEAN Summit held in Bajo on May 10th, 2023, our leaders has agreed and adopted leaders' joint statement on the establishment of ASEAN Villages Network. And the joint statement tasked AMM RDPE with the support of SOM RDPE, among others, to develop ASEAN Villages Network Framework. The very thing that will be at our deliberation on this session. As lead country for this initiative, SOM RDPE Indonesia developed the draft of the framework, and as I said before, has been circulated for your further perusal and inputs. And the AVN framework is to be notated at the coming 43rd ASEAN Summit to be held in Jakarta in September 2023. At this first meeting of ASEAN Villages Network, we hope we could discuss the draft and that we will be able to endorse it in principle. To begin, I would like to start, I already mentioned the outline of the draft framework on the previous slides, correct? All right, now, slide 3, please. Slide 3. So, yeah, basically, as you can see, those are the outlines of the framework, the draft framework. And at the first part of the framework will be the background of the establishment of AVN as an open, independent, bottom-up network of villages, village group, and village association across ASEAN member states, which aim to exchange views and experiences on finding solutions to respond to the challenges at the rural development, on the rural development agenda. And while the role of the framework will be as follows: first, serve as a non-binding guide to facilitate rural development and poverty eradication. Second, serves as a living document, emphasis on living document. So that means this draft framework will be adaptive and responsive to the dynamic in the future. So second, it serves as a living document open for updates as agreed by all member states. Next slide, please. As key principles, ASEAN Villages Network will be guided by the ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community Blueprint 2025, which is equitable, inclusive, people-oriented, and people-centered cooperation to strengthen ASEAN integration and strengthen people's awareness, solidarity, partnership, and sense of community towards ASEAN. Next slide, please. The framework will elaborate three focus areas of AVN, which are tourism, digital, and one village, one product. Next slide, please. Tourism village, in principle, is an area that has the potential and uniqueness of a typical tourist attraction to experience the unique life and tradition of rural communities with all their potentials. Tourism villages locus in AVN created as a platform for discussion, exchanges of good practices and management, and also other potential collaboration between villages, for example, joint promotion. While digital villages are expected to encourage villages to effectively utilize technology for village development that is accessible for all, including women and people with disabilities, and lead to significant digital transformation in rural area. Next slide, please. One village, one product, or OVOP, locus is to promote the approach in developing regional potentials in one region to produce a global class product that is unique to the region by utilizing local resources. This locus shall also promote women-owned products or businesses. The locus will serve as a platform to improve, develop, and promote products that reflect ASEAN identity, as well as a driving force for rural communities to be independent, creative, and innovative in identifying through the utilization of local resources. These are basically the wisdom that I transfer to my 8-year-old daughter. Again, that's just a joke. Next slide, please. For the strategic outcomes, some RDPE Indonesia proposed outcomes that followed and support the implementation of two main documents of RDPE, which are the Framework Action Plan on Rural Development and Poverty Eradication 2021-2025 and ASEAN Master Plan on Rural Development 2022 and 2026. It is important that AVN, as a new initiative, to be in line with the work of some RDPE, to maintain continuity, coherency, and achieve the objectives of ASEAN rural development and poverty eradication efforts. Next slide, please. We move now to enablers. It is important to decide the enablers to ensure the sustainability of ASEAN Villages Network. As enablers, the draft includes two things. The first is learning and collaborative forum. The forum will create avenue for ASEAN villages to share best practices, mutual and reciprocal learning from each other, and promote the development of innovative, sustainable, equitable, inclusive, progressive, and self-reliant rural communities. The second is counterpart program aimed to facilitate villages with partners, including but not limited to ASEAN dialogue partners, ASEAN some RDPE plus 3 countries, the International Fund for Agriculture Development, Asian Development Bank, and also private sectors. Next. The last, but I believe very important part is action plan. This is what makes our session matters. The village-specific action plans for rural development is proposed to be set up initially until 2025. In the draft framework, several activities already listed under each focus area. In tourism villages, activities can be developed, guidelines and standards to promote capacity building programs, encourage collaboration between tourism villages within ASEAN, etc. In digital villages, activities can be conducted, including, among others, digital literacy and skills training programs, promote the adoption of digital technologies, enhance digital infrastructure and connectivity in rural communities, etc. As for one village, one product, activities can be identified and documented for unique local products, providing training and support to improve local products quality, as well as facilitate market access for OVO products. These are some of the examples of activities laid out in the action plan. Next, please. And for the timeline proposal, as you can see, these are the activities for the next 3 years. These activities are not necessarily specified for one particular focus area, but will reflect ASEAN Villages Network activities in all focus areas. Okay, next. And before I conclude my presentation, I would like to share the following timeline or way forwards for the adoption of the framework. As you can see, endorsement by some RDPE by 4 August 2023, and then endorsement at the ministerial level on 18 August 2023, and then SOCA endorsement by 22 August 2023, and then the AACC endorsement 29th of August 2023, and of course to be notated at the 43rd ASEAN Summit, 5 September 2023. Jogja meeting hopefully could receive your endorsement in principle for the draft framework, and some RDPE Indonesia as lead country will consolidate all inputs from this meeting, and if any, inputs received based on the circulation of the draft that will be closed by 28th of July. Some RDPE Indonesia through ASEC will then circulate the second draft for endorsement of some RDPE by 4 August. And next, we kindly request some RDPE Chair Vietnam to send letter for AMM RDPE for endorsement, hopefully by 18 August 2023. And then, as I already highlight, the next steps will include endorsement at the SOCA level, AACC, and then, of course, the summit. And we hope that some RDPE could consider and accept the proposed timeline. With that, I conclude my short presentation. Let's make it matter. Let's be concrete with the actions that we're gonna develop to make the ASEAN Villages Network matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Ana, for running through the draft from the background up to the action plan. So as mentioned already, that the draft of a framework is already circulated by some RDP Indonesia through ASEC last Friday. And with that circulation, also requested for inputs, for thoughts from ASEAN member state. Before we move, I just want to highlight the last part of the presentations of Ibu Ana on the way forward until the framework can be noted by the ASEAN leaders at the 43rd summit. So I just want to underline the importance for this to be noted at the 43rd summit. First, it's the same year as the ASEAN leaders establish the ASEAN Villages Network. It will really, it's a great momentum for the leaders, for villages in ASEAN to take this opportunity that it really shows the commitment of ASEAN up to the top level, the leaders level, to do rural development and poverty eradication through the ASEAN Villages Network. But not only that, the framework will also help for the continuation for the work of the ASEAN Villages Network. That's why, as mentioned already by Ibu Ana, that the action plan is really, really important. And as this is the first meeting of ASEAN Villages Network, though we already circulated by email through ASEC, we believe that it is only right that we utilize this meeting to discuss the draft framework and provide inputs to improve the frameworks. With that, I would like to open the floor, invite the ASEAN member state offline here with us in Jogja and also online. I think we have some RDPE Singapore also participating online for their inputs, thoughts, ideas. Yes, please, if any. Just the general remarks is also welcome. Yes, please, Indonesia. Can from the committee help with the mic to the delegation in the Indonesian table? So while waiting for the mic, again, I encourage all ASEAN member states here. I know that we are already very exhausted because we start early this morning, but any general comment, general remark is also very welcome. Yes, the mic.
Baik, terima kasih.
Yes, please, if you kindly to introduce your name and where you're from. Thank you, Pak.
Mohon izin untuk disampaikan dalam bahasa Indonesia. Nama saya Hadian Supriyatna, Kepala Desa Cibirwetan, Kecamatan Cileunyi, Kabupaten Bandung. Delegasi untuk One Village, untuk Desa Digital. Terima kasih Bu Ana atas paparan yang disampaikan. Terlintas ada satu hal yang terpikirkan oleh saya, bagaimana konektivitas ini terjalin dalam rangka digitalisasi desa. Itu ada 3 komponen utama yang ada dalam pengembangan kami di desa. Yang pertama adalah smart government, bagaimana pemerintah melayani sistem administrasi kebutuhan pelayanan publik. Dan yang kedua...
I'm sorry Pak to interrupt, can you put the mic closer? It's quite difficult. Oh ya, maaf Pak, boleh mic-nya didekatkan karena kita kurang dengar di sini. Terima kasih ya Pak.
Dan yang pertama adalah platform yang dikembangkan adalah tadi smart government, bagaimana pemerintah melayani kebutuhan masyarakat khususnya dalam administrasi kependudukan dan layanan sosial dasar. Yang kedua adalah platform ekonomi, bagaimana desa hadir mewadahi problematik dan daya saing masyarakat di bidang ekonomi melalui platform ekonomi desa yang dikembangkan melalui digitalisasi desa. Dan yang ketiga adalah smart sosial, bagaimana juga pemerintah mampu mendorong layanan sosial melalui pemampatan aplikasi, misalnya panic button, kemudian pertolongan dan lain-lainnya. Nah, dalam rangka itu, kami nanti berharap kawan-kawan se-ASEAN dapat saling melihat platform yang sudah dikembangkan di masing-masing desa. Kemudian ada kesempatan untuk saling magang, mempelajari sehingga akan menambah kesempurnaan masing-masing platform antar desa ini, baik yang di Indonesia maupun di ASEAN. Yang kedua, kami berharap dari pemanfaatan digitalisasi desa ini adalah terciptanya circle ekonomi desa atau ekonomi sirkular di desa dengan memerankan BUMDes sebagai pusat distribusi dan BUMDes menjadi lembaga penjamin untuk pemasaran produk antar negara, baik untuk produsen maupun juga untuk konsumen. Sehingga dibutuhkan tadi penguatan pelatihan, pilot project, barangkali ada platform yang diminati di antar negara untuk diuji coba, dan program magang antar delegasi desa untuk menambah kapasitas platform-platform yang sudah dikembangkan ketika disaringkan antar desa, ada yang tertarik untuk disempurnakan. Saya kira itu. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih banyak Bapak. Boleh diizinkan, kita ada peserta dari Zoom, jadi boleh saya izinkan summary karena ternyata di Zoom saya dapat info tidak ada interpreternya Pak. Jadi saya, for participants that joining online, the participants is from Desa Cibiruwetan. It's one of the villages, nominated villages from Indonesia for AVN. And he was sharing about his villages, focusing in digital villages, about some of the program that they have, like a smart government for citizenship services, and also a platform for economy and smart social, digitalized social services, and that he expect from the ASEAN Villages Network, we can have a platform for cooperation, collaboration, including for a joint market access through some that he mentioned. I only take note too, that is a capacity building and training as well as internship program. So yes, thank you so much Bapak for the general comments and also already contribute your ideas. Terima kasih Bapak atas komennya dan sudah menyumbangkan idenya. And I would like to again invite any, so please.
Baik, terima kasih Pak Supriyana, kalau saya nggak salah, Pak Supriyana toh namanya. Terima kasih. Ini justru memang ini semangat yang Kementerian Luar Negeri appreciate dari teman-teman di Kemendes dengan inisiatif mereka memajukan inisiatif ASEAN Villages Network. Karena spirit dasarnya kan desa bisa. Cuma masalahnya apa diberikan cukup kesempatan untuk mengeksposur kebisaan mereka. Apakah diberikan cukup resources dan enabling environment untuk desa bisa elevate their capacity. Nah ini juga yang kita dorong, mungkin nanti salah satu hasil konkret dari ASEAN Village, pertemuan pertama ASEAN Villages Network ini, bagaimana kita bisa mengidentifikasi best practices from each members of the ASEAN Villages Network in those three respective areas of cooperation, and how we can codify these best practices. So not only that it can be a learning tool or best practices sharing among the ASEAN member states, but also ASEAN collectively can showcase the best practices that the best practices coming from members of ASEAN Villages Network to the wider region. For example, we can also showcase this to the villages in the Pacific region, for example, or how we can promote the narrative of rural areas empowerment through the establishment of the ASEAN Villages Network at the global level through the UN meetings, for example. So this is one of the basic ideas or objectives from the initiative of the establishment of ASEAN Villages Network. And thank you so much. Terima kasih, hatur nuhun Pak Supriyana. Tadi ada beberapa ide aksi konkret ya, yang mungkin nanti bisa kita refleksikan di draft action plan dan disepakati bersama oleh members ASEAN Villages Network. Terima kasih Pak.
Yeah, so I would like to open the floor again to encourage ASEAN member states to, yes, Philippines. Please, the mics for the delegation of the Philippines.
Good afternoon from the Philippines. We learned this morning that the village are the last frontier to the SDG to be the goals of the SDG to be achieved. But my question is, how did we choose tourism, digital, and one village, one product? Is it included in our head of state discussion? How did we choose the tourism and digital and one village, one product? Can we do it one ASEAN, one product, so that we can access the markets of all ASEAN member states? I have something also. Is it run by the people or cooperative? Is the tourism village is actually existing or not existing? In the digital, do we provide infrastructure? Is it run by the local government, the village, when we focus on tourism and digital and OVOP? Or is it run by private enterprise or private company? And what do we get from this except for the cultural exchange, understanding, and cooperation, of course, for one ASEAN? And what the host village will get? Do they earn more, or the people will get more income? Thank you.
Thank you, delegation of the Philippines. So if I have to apologize. I don't know why, but the mic from the audience is a bit difficult to hear here at the stage, but I hope I get the questions right from the delegations of the Philippines. So the questions is how the three locus area is decided, and I think the last one you were asking about who will be responsible for the three locus area of cooperations. Yes. Okay. So for this, I think I would like to invite ASEAN Secretariat to explain the process. But just in short, on behalf of some, because I think you will have more historical memory from us, ASEAN Secretariat, but on behalf of some RDP Indonesia, so the process is going through the usual procedures of some RDPE. So there's a concept note from the lead country, that is Indonesia as initiator, and in the concept note it was already proposed that that will be the three locus area of cooperation. So it came from Indonesia, circulated to ASEAN member states, so RDPE, for inputs, and with that process there is no further inputs regarding the locus area. So that's why it's endorsed. And it moved forward until now. It's already established, and we still stick to the three locus area that is already endorsed by SOMAR DPE through the concept note. But again, you know, nowadays we have to be able to adapt response to, you know, any sort of development. Indeed, I recall the first meeting of the AVN, the preparation for this meeting, it's conducted online, and there are suggestions to broaden the locus area of AVN. But because this is really a new initiative, some RDP Indonesia proposed to focus on 3 locus area that already agreed, and then, but still open, as mentioned, it's a living document, it's open and for adaptation in responding to any future development. But Mbak Ajeng, please, you know the procedures better. Oh, okay, Mbak.
Mbak Ajeng, sorry ya, if I may, just for my 20 cent, my 2 cent, not 20 cent, my 2 cent on this. Why these 3 areas, specific areas of cooperation or priorities when it comes to the ASEAN Villages Network? My 2 cent in this is because in the post-COVID normalcy, I think these 3 sectors are among the sectors which are relevant and also can play strategically in the effort towards building resilience at the community level. That's first. And second is because I think these 3 areas are the basic denominator, what are the villages in the region shared the most or have in similarities. Most of villages in ASEAN now have to adapt or embrace the increasing use of technology in carrying out their public duties. And also tourism. I think we can agree that most of villages or most of areas, most of countries in this region, as a matter of fact, have a strategic interest to promote their tourism. And the other one is the one village, one product. I think because we are projecting our region to be part of the global supply chain. And I think it is important that we start at the village level, how we can increase the capacity of our villages to be able to be part of the global supply chain and not necessarily just the areas or the people at the village level just receive the products from the global trade or regional trade. So that's the basic idea, that's my 2 cents. But I welcome enrichment, further enrichment from my SOM RDPE colleagues, our SOM RDPE Indonesia. And with that, I give the spotlight to Mbak Ajeng. Please, Mbak Ajeng.
Thank you very much. So, Ibu Ana, we just received a confirmation. Thank you very much for a very comprehensive feedback and response to the question. We just received a confirmation from our colleagues from RDP Philippines that the question is already answered. Thank you for that. But perhaps if, I think it really complements to what Ibu Ana mentioned earlier. From our end, we facilitate the consultation, and I think the background of this initiative has been consulted with member states. And at that time, as also clarified by Christine, is that there's no feedback. We received some feedback from member state, which has been consulted back to Indonesia for consideration. So I think in that sense, it's just to give a more complete pictures of how this 3 concept is being consulted with member states. So again, thank you very much, Mbak Ana, and also Mbak Christine for a very comprehensive feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, ASEAN Secretariat. Would like to invite again. Yes, okay, please do.
Obviously, I like the delegate from the Philippines so much that I keep coming back. Just one more question, I think, from him that we haven't got the opportunity to answer. With regard to what can we get? What can the members of ASEAN Villages Network can get from this initiative or the proposed action of plan of action, sorry. Well, a short answer for that is anything that you would like to get from this initiative. It depends on you. It depends on how we're gonna develop the concrete action plan and what are the targets or objectives that we aim to pursue when we come up with the proposed action plan later on. Thank you. So it's up to us.
Yes, please, delegation from Myanmar. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, moderator, for giving me the chance to present my suggestion. So I am from Myanmar. So the 70% of population in our country lives in rural area. So the rural development is very important for my country. So Myanmar warmly welcome the ASEAN Village Network. And here is, I want to suggest some points. The first one is the implementation of rural livelihoods on a long-term basis requires a well-designed and sound sustainable mechanism. Additionally, rural livelihoods are inherently diverse and dynamic. Therefore, livelihoods and income-generating activities need to extend beyond the three thematic areas: tourism, digital, and overall. So it is especially important to emphasize the types of real livelihoods and income-generating activities that rely on locally based products. Such activities include not only the aforementioned three thematic areas, but also other forms of livelihood activities rooted in the agriculture sector. Therefore, we would like to propose the inclusion of the agriculture sector, including livestock, as an additional thematic area. And the second consideration I would like to present is about funding. So the successful implementation of AVN requires robust financial investment and effective resource mobilization from multi-stakeholders. So this is appropriate to mobilize funding various entities. However, it is crucial to anticipate the risk of insufficient funding from those sources. So in such a situation, it will be very difficult to practically implement 3-year-long action plans as specified in their plans. Therefore, we should explore flexible approach or plans ahead to ensure it's a sustainable and successful implementation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Myanmar. So basically, there's two ideas. That is to include or explore the locus area, also to include agricultural in specific livestock. And I think you also mentioned about sufficient funding that is needed for the sustainability of implementation of the ASEAN Villages Network. I hope that the SOMAR-DP Indonesia and perhaps with the assistance of ASEC, I don't know, already take notes of the inputs from the delegates of Myanmar, but also will be appreciated if you also still submit the written inputs in response to the email circulated by the ASEAN Secretariat. Any? Yes, please, Bu.
Thank you so very much. Yeah. Of course, we are still waiting for the written submission, but from the looks of it, those three are pretty good to be further looked into. And I'm particularly interested with regard to the last suggestion on the sufficiency of funding. And I think that's why it is important for us to have the previous session where we organize or we invite the participation of region or local financial institution, yeah. And I believe that not only in Indonesia, but also the other ASEAN countries also have their local financial institutions. And I'm not sure if the representatives from the financial institution are still with us in this room, but maybe we can, through the proposed plan of action for the ASEAN Villages Network, we can make a stronger narrative on how we encourage financial institutions in the region to come up with concrete cooperation or concrete programs on how supporting the empowerment or increasing the capacity of the villages, especially those who are part of the ASEAN Villages Network. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for reminding that, yeah, we can always, you know, return back to the previous session during the Development Bank of Indonesia. Now, we still have time for, again, delegation participants who wants to, yes, please, from Lao PDR, committee, boleh panitia, mic-nya ke meja Lao PDR.
Thank you. From LAPDR. First of all, I'd like to thank monitoring. I have some remarks or couple of points that I would like to mention. One, on behalf of some RDP, LAPDR, we completely support the draft of the Indonesia, the ASEAN Village Network. And secondly, in LAPDR, we also focus on the rural development, village develop as well, especially one village, one product. Our delegation come to this meeting today. Follow me is 3 villagers, and their products is vegetable. So I would like to say it's a very small farmer, but we start from small household. I mean small farmer, and we try to grow up as a group, and then we try to develop to the as cooperatives. So it's not easy. It's not easy, and we keep doing this, and we hope we can learn from ASEAN Village as much as possible. And the last point is, I hope we keep in touch, especially ASEAN Network, and sharing experience and information. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Lao PDR. Ibu ada.
Thank you so very much for the encouraging words. And this is, thank you for the support for the draft. And also, I couldn't agree more on the last point that you mentioned on the importance of maintaining contact, not only through the formal meeting, like the first meeting of AVN. And of course, we don't have to wait until the second meeting for all the villages in the ASEAN Villages Network to be able to interact and communicate further with each other and to come up with their concrete proposals on collaboration. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Ana. So if we go back to the draft of the framework, it was mentioned for now at the draft. There's 2 enablers. So the first one is a learning and collaborative forum. So this learning and collaborative forum actually, you know, it's open for any suggestions, any ideas, and that can also be used to maintain the keep in contact as suggested by the delegation of Lao PDR. So we don't need to wait until the next AVN meeting, but we can always, you know, propose an idea of a forum, for example, an online workshop that can be done by the AVN. Yes. So read about you sharing the stories about the one village, one product in Laos, that is vegetable product. You mentioned you look forward to learn, but also I think all other ASEAN member states also look forward to learn from Lao experience in developing you say the small household until it can really have a market for their vegetable product. Thank you. Any, yes. Oh, I have Malaysia and ASEAN Secretariat and Thailand. Ya, panitia ke mejanya Malaysia dulu, setelah itu Sekretariat ASEAN, lalu Thailand.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good evening to everyone. First of all, I'm Siti Azra from Malaysia. Thank you to SOM RDPE Indonesia for coming up with this framework. Basically, when we go through, it's actually the action plan especially, it's good because at national level, we do have implement some of the action plan as well. We already started it, but it's just that appreciate if SOM RDPE Indonesia or Ibu Ana can explain better or further clarification on how all the action plan will be conducted, especially within this, the timeline. To meet the timeline, especially for 2023, we have been past half of a year already, so only last few months. And by looking at the action plan and the timeline, it's quite, not to say negative, but it's quite challenging. It's just that we just want to know how it's going to be implemented, the approach, how Indonesia's idea to implement this. And this is connected with the facilitate access to funding and investment especially. Because at, I mean, for villages at our national level also, we have a very limited resources. What is your idea? Is it whether to collect fees or collecting fund from the AMS, or how it's going to be? Thank you.
Thank you. Malaysia, now maybe Thailand first. So for this session, let's just collect all questions.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Supalat from the Community Development Department, Thailand. So I just would like to share our lesson learned from our village. That he is the leader of the village that's now become the tourism village. But start from the OTOP. In Thai we call the OTOP, but now it's OWOP. And as you all know, yes, the OWOP. He start from the product of the local product and now developed to be the tourism village by the collaboration from the public sector, such as the Community Development Department that as I work in. And also, not only the community and public sector, the private sector, for example, like the Provincial Tourism Association, they loan for the community to build some attraction, and now they start from 2017, and the community that did the tourism village can return all the money back to the association just within, and also the collaboration with the school, the local school, the spiritual sector, and also the media sector. So I think not only the public and private sector and the community collaboration, but also the local sector that should be involved in all the framework. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thailand, so maybe ASEC.
Thank you, Mbak Ana, Mbak Christine. So I think this is to respond to some of the question or perhaps feedbacks from the member state on the things. On the network, I think ASEAN Secretariat has facilitated I think other 2 networks. So our division supports 2 networks outside RDPE. So this network is actually, how do you call it? It really provides a platform for coordination. The network that we are supporting now listed down the contact details. So all the members are actually there and updated. So I think we are envisioning the same approach for this network. It means that when we are, member state are, we really hope that member state could still be connected through this network, and the membership, the information, the detailed information on the network itself will be updated. So I think that is how ASEAN Secretariat envisioned this network. So rest assured that all members of the network will be still connected, because we have, and we will be sharing as well, the details information of the members. So that's one thing. The second one is, I think this is, if I may, to respond the concern of Malaysia. It is true that I think the timeline is pretty tight, but from what our understanding is that, based on the concept notes, the network is expected to contribute to other regional frameworks, which is the framework of Action Plan on Rural Development and Poverty Eradication 2021-2025. This is a 5-year work plan of SOMAR-DPE. Another framework that really the AVN is contributed to is the ASEAN Master Plan on Rural Development. Under these two frameworks, there are initiatives, regional initiatives listed down. So I think we can discuss further on how the initiative under AVN could be somehow listed or contributed. So it's not, we're not going to make a duplication, but more one initiative, for instance, under AVN will contribute or even captured in other two frameworks. So I think, of course, the time is very limited. We only have until 2025. The plan is until 2025. But considering that this initiative can tap in or contribute to other framework, I think we have more opportunity to conduct that. So I think that's it, Mbak Ana and Mbak Christine. Thank you.
And thank you, Mbak Ajeng. And I would like to invite Ibu Ana to perhaps try to answer the questions, the comments from ASEAN member state, and perhaps some like general comment as we are coming to the end of our session. Please.
Right. First, I'm going to respond to what has been highlighted by the Thai delegate. Yes, I think I completely agree on the importance of broad multi-stakeholders cooperation and partnership, and it will be very important for us to be able to project that in the way forward, and especially in the framework and also in the action plan. And this also relates somehow with the previous question posed by delegates from Malaysia when it comes to the issue of limited resources, for example. Yes, that's a very relevant question, and that's very important to be addressed as well. So with regard to the opportunity to mobilize additional or adequate resources on the implementation of action plan for the AVN, for example, I think this is one of the way forward is how through the chair of the ASEAN, for example, this year is Indonesia, and next year will be Lao PDR, and how the chair of ASEAN or how the chair of the related sectoral bodies can explore the possibility of any modality of cooperation when it comes to resources, funding resources with the potential partners, be it ASEAN partner countries or international organization or financial institutions at the global and regional level, and also the possibility of support from the UN, from the UN entities, for example. And at least until the end of this year, Indonesia as the chair of ASEAN is open and welcome with any suggestion coming from AMS with regard to strategic engagement with potential partners to further support the implementation or the operationalization of ASEAN Villages Network. And another modality that might worth further look into is, maybe Mbak Ajeng already mentioned briefly before, how we can also learn from the smart cities, ASEAN Smart Cities Network, especially during their initial phases of establishment. Maybe we can learn something from this network, and also explore the possibility of complementing each other. That will be my quick response. Thank you, Mbak Christine.
Yes, thank you very much, Ibu Ana, for like a wrap-up response, thorough response for all the comments and the questions. And since you, yes, we still have, okay, we really have limited time. I'm really sorry, but we actually still have session tomorrow morning. So there is still chances for everyone for tomorrow morning, because the Somadipi Indonesia already prepared, I think, a very good program for everyone to be able to learn. And it's really, the time is really short. I hope that I took note delegations from Cambodia and Indonesia that wish to speak, but I hope you can, bear with us and understand if we could then take notes that we will give you the chance to speak tomorrow morning. I hope that's fine with Cambodia and Indonesia delegation. I didn't see any smile. Cambodia delegation, are you okay? That's tomorrow morning. Yes, thank you so much. And Indonesia also. Okay, thank you so much for the understanding. So with that, I would like to end the session. Again, a reminder to all ASEAN member states that inputs is encouraged also to be submitted in writing, responding to the circulation by the ASEAN Secretariat with close of business 28th July 2023. Before we really end this session, I would like to explain a little about the agenda for tomorrow morning, the continuation of the first ASEAN Villages Network meeting. So tomorrow morning will be a roundtable discussions. So all participants will be divided into 3 groups of 3 focus area of ASEAN Villages Network: the OFOP, digital, and tourism. The group discussion, because we think it will be more strategic, instead of a big plenary group, to have a small group of discussions that the group can come up with ideas and initiative of projects or anything, suggestions for inclusive and sustainable ASEAN Villages Network. And also it is encouraged for the villages to come up with specific villages project. Please do not, think something big, grande, or, let's just do something that is feasible for everyone. Again, the action plan is a living document. It can be adapted responding to any situation, future development. And also it can be something in the pipeline already, like part of your annual program. I think Malaysia delegation, they mentioned that they already, do some of the activities or action proposed in the framework. So I think that that is also very welcome to be the specific project to propose. So this is the the list of participants. So you can see, please find your names for Digital Village, Tourism Village, and OFOP. And each group will have facilitators from SOMRDP Indonesia and ASEAN Secretariat to assist the group discussions. The group discussion will start tomorrow morning in this very room at 8:30. So 8:30, I hope all participants please already present in this room, and then we will start directly to the group discussion. After the group discussions, we will start again plenary session where each group representative will present the result of the discussions, and also to keep the promise to give Cambodia and Indonesia delegation to speak tomorrow at the plenary session. So this morning we have session about localizing SDGs, we have session about financial, in fighting financial institution. I hope it inspires everyone, and you could spare some times tonight to think about the ideas to share in each group tomorrow morning. So with that, I would like to end this session. Thank you, Ibu Juliana Bahar. Thank you, everyone. Please give a big round of applause. We survived from 8:30 until 5 in the afternoon. And I would like to return to MC to close the session and perhaps some administrative announcement. Please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to Ms. Juliana Bahar and also Christine Raviani for the great discussion at the final session of this first Asian Village Network or AVN meeting. So since this is the last or the final session of this meeting, I would like to say thank you to all of you delegates and also all the attendees of this event, the first Asian Village Network AVN meeting at the Senior Official Meeting on Rural Development and Poverty Eradication, SOMRDP Indonesia 2023. And notified to all guests and delegates, we will hold a gala dinner at Tebing Breksi. We would like to inform that we will accommodate the transportation and for the mobility from the hotel to Tebing Breksi. And we will be leaving at 6 p.m. Please gather around the lobby hotel before 6 p.m. And don't forget to wear your smart casual outfit to go to the gala dinner at Tebing Breksi. Once again, notify to all guests and delegates, we will hold a gala dinner at Tebing Breksi. And we would like to inform you that we will provide a transportation for the mobility from the hotel to Tebing Breksi, and we will be leaving at 6 p.m. So gather around the lobby hotel before 6, and don't forget to wear your smart casual outfit to go to the gala dinner. So this is the end of this Senior Official Meeting on Rural Development and Poverty Eradication, SOMRDP Indonesia 2023. Once again, thank you to all delegates and respective guests for this event. See you on the next meeting. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.